Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name's Ron Tyler. We're coming to you from the Area Command 390 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We're coming to you today with grave news. A bridge in Baltimore, Maryland has collapsed. The Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, Maryland collapsed at 2:30 this morning. That's the latest news right there. That's the Francis Scott Key Bridge, and it has collapsed. A ship, a great big huge container ship, hit a bridge piling last night, and the bridge has collapsed. This is the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, Maryland. It has collapsed. Folks, there is no words to describe the peril of that bridge collapsing. Fortunately, if we can think that way, fortunately, this bridge that collapsed hit the bridge collapsed at 2:30 in the morning when there was very few people crossing the bridge. I am sure there are cars and people that are in the water. Here is a picture of that bridge and the ship that hit the bridge. There are no words to describe the horror of what has happened in Baltimore, Maryland. There's absolutely no words that can describe it. This is the scene in Baltimore, Maryland earlier this morning. Multiple sections of the bridge collapsed after that container ship hit the bridge. It is one of the most unfortunate experiences that has ever happened in this nation of ours. This bridge was a span connecting Maine and Maryland here, I understand, and that container ship hit the pier, and one section of the bridge went down, and then because it was a suspension bridge, the other section also collapsed. I believe now 3 sections of the bridge have collapsed there in Baltimore, Maryland. This is the scene in Baltimore, Maryland right now. We have troopers in the air, Baltimore, Maryland State Police in the air, and helicopters circling over the area, trying to see if there's anyone that they can save. As you can see, there's also a tugboat there in the water, and they're also searching for survivors. The bridge, I understand, had construction people on the bridge at the time. But again, at 2:30 a.m. this morning, the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed. As you can see, this is a description of what we saw via airline trackers. Like I said, there's 2 helicopters in the air circling the area looking for survivors. You can see in this diagram the part of the bridge that has collapsed. This is a scene this morning after the bridge collapsed, and you can see the container ship right there that hit the piling of the bridge, collapsing the entire suspension bridge last night, early this morning. This is a tragedy of epic proportions. No one saw this coming, and I absolutely do not want anyone to think right now that it was purposeful. We do not know that. We absolutely do not know that. This was a tragic accident. Now, there is some speculation that the container ship was going underneath the bridge and it turned into the piling. That is unconfirmed. That is completely unconfirmed. Do any of you have any questions for me? Doug says, say a prayer for the grieving families. I completely agree with that. This is a tragedy, like I said, of epic proportions. No one could even think of what people are going through right now. There is no way that anyone could even think of the tragedy here this morning. This bridge in Baltimore collapsed this morning after a large container ship hit a piling, bringing down one section of this suspension bridge. And because of the suspension bridge, the way it's built, when one section of the bridge goes down, the entire bridge goes down. In this case, multiple sections of the bridge came down at 2:30 a.m. this morning. In this case, multiple. Do any of you have any questions for me? I will try to answer any questions that any of you may have. Please, folks, give us a thumbs up if you think this program has merit. Please also make sure that you share this program far and wide. This is a national issue. The Francis Scott Key Bridge was named that after the man who wrote the United States national anthem, Francis Scott Key. This is a beautiful bridge. It's been there for a long, long time. I understand there was some repairs being done to the bridge at the time of the bridge collapse. No, we don't know how many vehicles were on the bridge. There is no way to tell at this time. Thanks, 8 Ducks, for that question. That's a great question. We have no ability to understand how many vehicles are in the water. We will be coming back on the air later today to give you any updated information as to the casualties that have happened today, early this morning at 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. There's absolutely no way we have any idea of the immensity of this tragedy. Any other questions? Ducks says here in the chat, sadly, there's always traffic in a city, even at night. And this being Baltimore, Maryland, folks, people go to and fro on this bridge, probably heading for Washington, D.C. So it's a tragedy of epic proportions. That's all I can say. Any other questions here? Like I said, I will be back on the air a little bit later, possibly even before 6 p.m. this evening during our regular broadcast, if there is evidence enough to advise everybody what is going on. Like I said, there are troopers from the Maryland State Police in the air searching for people in the water. There are boats in the water as well searching for people. I'm sure there's going to be police boats. There's going to be people from the National Guard that are certified divers that will be going into the water looking for vehicles and bodies. Okay? There's no way this is going to be one story and end right now. It's not going to happen. Leah says, praying that this was not an attack on us. The symbolism of this bridge is very important. I completely agree. We don't know whether this was an attack, and I'm not even going to go there. And Nate Duck says there's cold water at this time of year. It absolutely is. That area of the United States is very cold. They've had snow, rain, and sleet in this area. So it is very cold in that water. Anything else, family? Is there anything else that you guys need to bring out here or questions for me at this time? We have trained for some of these events around this country before. We've trained in San Francisco. We've trained in Los Angeles. We've trained here in Florida and various other places throughout the United States. I've done disaster drills throughout this country since 2005. For about 10 years, I was directly involved with disaster drills in one place of the country or another. So there are people that are very highly trained for this kind of scenario. I want to put that out there too. There are men and women that are very highly trained in disasters of this kind. And I know for a fact that they are there trying to bring help to this city and this nation. So please, please understand that. And let's pray for those people that may have lost their lives today. Let's also pray for the people that are there helping untangle this horrible situation and make some kind of sense out of it. May God bless us all. God be with you till we meet again. We will see you later today. Have a good night, everybody, or good morning, good day, everybody. Make sense of this. God be with you till we meet again.